Recorded Books and One-Click Digital present George Brown Class Clown. Ew, what's on my shoe? By Nancy Krulik. Illustrated by Aaron Blecka. Read by Jonathan Todd Ross. Chapter 1. Ew, this one's really gooey. George Brown shouted excitedly as he peeled a huge blob of pink gum from under the seat at the bus stop. I think it was just chewed. Awesome, dude, George's best friend Alex said. The fresh stuff always sticks the best. He opened a plastic bag and George dropped the glob in with the rest of the pieces of already been chewed gum the boys had collected that morning. Your ABC gumball must be huge by now, George said. Yep. In fact, the ball's so massive, I have to keep it in a shed in the backyard, Alex told him. Besides, my mom doesn't want it in the house. She says having a ball made of gum that's been in other people's mouths is disgusting. George didn't understand that at all. Alex's mom was a dentist. She had her hands in other people's mouths all day long. What was the difference? Isn't a gumball that size big enough to get you into the Schminess World Records? George wondered aloud. Not really, Alex said. But it's getting there. I measured it yesterday, and I think I only need a few more layers to break the world record. Well, today's Sunday, George said, which means we have all day to go around town and find gum. You'll have your picture in the Schminess World Records in no time. Alex pulled a glob of pink bubble gum from a tree trunk. Amazing where people will stick their gum, he said as he popped it into his plastic bag and looked around. I think we've gotten all the gum we're gonna get here. Yeah, George agreed. So where do you think we should go next? Alex thought for a second. How about Ernie's Ice Cream Emporium, he suggested. People have to take the gum out of their mouths to eat ice cream, and when they do, they don't have any place to put it except under the table. There are always mounds of gum under those tables. Ernie's? George's voice cracked nervously. I don't think I want to go there. I mean, that's where it all started. Alex knew what it meant. It was George's magical super burp, the cause of almost everything that had ever gone wrong in George's life since he had moved to Beaverbrook. It all started when George and his family first arrived in town. George's dad was in the army, so the family moved around a lot. By now, George understood that first days at school could be pretty rotten. But this first day was the most rotten. In his old school, George had been the class clown. He was always pulling pranks and making jokes. But George had promised himself that things were going to be different at Edith B. Sugarman Elementary School. He was turning over a new leaf. No more pranks. No more whoopee cushions or spitballs shot through straws. No more bunny ears behind people's heads. No more imitating teachers when their backs were turned. But George didn't have to be a math genius like Alex to figure out how many friends you make being the unfunny, well-behaved new kid in school. The answer was easy. 0. Nada. Zilch. That night, George's parents took him out to Ernie's Ice Cream Emporium. While they were sitting outside and George was finishing his root beer float, a shooting star flashed across the sky. So George made a wish. I want to make kids laugh, but not get into trouble. Unfortunately, the star was gone before George could finish the wish. So only half came true. The first half. A minute later, George had a funny feeling in his belly. It was like there were hundreds of tiny bubbles bouncing around in there. The bubbles hopped up and down and all around. They ping-ponged their way into his chest, and
Sample complete. Ready to continue?